Japan, land of experimentation, innovation, eccentricity. Qualities also showcased in one of the country's favorite preoccupations, food.
The Japanese have a certain obsession in their food culture.
アイスクリームです。これは溶けない。
Almost like food porno.
Japanese food has captured the imagination.
I think there's a nice contradiction in the fact that so many foods have come to Japan and become Japanese.
Food here is stamped with a trademark ingenuity.
世界でこういう食材に対してこういう考え方をするのは僕らだけね。食の世界で正義を行いたい。
Turning the ordinary into the extraordinary, the Japanese are always perfecting and inventing.
Constant innovation, that's what makes it Japanese.
Discovering the essence of Japanese cuisine is to reveal the true Japanese spirit. Japan, where beauty and artistry are everywhere. This devotion to high aesthetics has elevated their cuisine to an art form. Every detail is fine-tuned to flawlessness. Creativity and passion poured into the pursuit of the perfect meal.
Whether it's the high connoisseurship of kaiseki or the low slurping of a bowl of noodles, Japanese people take food very seriously.
It is perhaps the most iconic dish from the land of the rising sun, and famous the world over. Japanese food in a league of its own.
Kodawari can mean finding the best ingredients, cutting the food in the best possible shape, making sure that there are no blemishes showing. I think kodawari is a value placed on doing everything the best you can do.
It should come as no surprise that sushi is sourced daily from the world's biggest and busiest fish market. More than 1,000 vendors hawk their wares in Tsukiji Market in the heart of Tokyo. Covering nearly 30 soccer fields, the market handles more than 400 types of seafood and sells nearly $5 billion worth of fish each year. People flock to the market at the crack of dawn to get their hands on the best catch, headlined by the world-famous bluefin tuna. Barely 100 years ago, tuna was considered peasant food and not tasty enough for sushi. But today, it's the fish that everyone fancies and is willing to pay for.
すごい幅はあります。キロで言えば1キロ2000ぐらいからあるし、上は10万まであるし、10万というと200キロで1本今まで最高値は2000万ですから。
Kazu Miyakami comes to the tuna auction at 3 a.m. every day. He's a middleman on the hunt for choice tuna that he sells on to sushi restaurants. Every day is a gamble, and middlemen like Miyakami work with serious odds. The finest and most expensive tuna are the ones caught off the shores of Japan using a single rod. These fish make the tastiest sushi, but they're a high-risk purchase.
魚が暴れるとすごい高温になるんで身が焼けてしまったりする場合があるんですよ。そういう場合どうしても赤身がパサつくんで。
This is a phenomenon called burning, and it makes the flesh inedible. There's no way to tell the degree of burning in the flesh until the tuna is cut open. It looks promising, though the burning can take time to show. Miyakami must rely on his instincts. Tezuka, a regular customer, owns one of Tokyo's most established sushi restaurants. He's accompanied by his son Yoshi, who's following in his footsteps.
じゃあ今度また1時に僕だけ来ますから見せてください。はいどうも。
29-year-old Yoshi is Tezuka's son and apprentice. After years of working in Europe as a ski guide, he's returned to inherit Matsuno Sushi, one of Tokyo's most traditional sushi restaurants. The learning curve is steep. Sushi is more art than exact science.
やっぱり僕が最初握りとかで困ったのがご飯の大きさ、シャリの大きさなんですけど、明確に知りたいんですよね。10g とか 15g とか 20g とか、うちの父とかそんなのわからないよの一言で終わっちゃうんですよね。
There's no how-to guide and no instruction manual, so aspiring sushi chefs have a hard time mastering it. Sushi demands an uncompromising approach.
僕がどんなにうまく握っても、どんなにいいお寿司を作っても、多分一生父は超えられないんですよ。
もうちょっと。
これ、はい、どこがでしょう。
やっぱこうきちっと決まってないですよね。ほら巻き物がこういう具合に。
ああ、流れちゃうと。
切れた時にピチッと決まってればいいんだけど。
Yoshi may be allowed to practice making sushi, but one fish is still off limits: the bluefin tuna. Considered the pinnacle of the sushi world, this is the territory of the master. Preparing the bluefin is Japanese perfectionism at its best. How it's sliced, handled, and stored has tremendous bearing on how it will taste as sushi.
この一番トロの部分っていうのは非常に脂が強くて、それから徐々に中トロ、霜降り中トロってなってきて、脂がだんだん薄くなってくるんだよね。だから人によって好む人が違いますよね。
There are three main cuts of tuna in sushi: akami, chutoro, and otoro. The cuts of toro, literally meaning to melt, come from the tuna's fatty belly and are the most prized. Yoshi reckons he'll only handle the tuna when his father retires. In the meantime, he needs to hone his skills with the dedication required of a sushi master.
彼は多分この店だけでは満足してないと思うんですよ。これからもうステップアップしたいと思うんですよね。彼の代になるとやっぱりここも少しは変わってくるんじゃないかと思いますね。
There's no doubt the restaurant will change when Yoshi calls the shots. Ironically, it's change that keeps Japanese tradition alive.
Continuity with tradition is extremely important in Japanese foodways. The word dentoteki, which usually means traditionally or traditional, is a word that actually means the preservation of some things and the constant innovation in other things. Nothing stands still. Tradition itself in Japan is said to change.
In fact, sushi as we know it was only invented in the 1800s. The original sushi was quite the opposite of the sushi we know and love today. It wasn't served on balls of rice, and it certainly wasn't fresh.
food in the 1300s needed to be preserved. They didn't have preservation techniques that we have now, so technology that existed then was simply fermentation. And so sushi was all about old fish, not fresh fish.
A type of this fermented sushi, known as funa sushi, is still kept alive by a handful of families around the country. One of them is the Kitashina family, funa sushi makers for 18 continuous generations. But as exotic as fermented fish sounds, the taste of funa sushi is also said to be strangely universal.
前に、フランスの、方がうちに取材に来られた時にこのフナ寿司をもう異国の地ですよ完全なるだけどこの食べた時になんか懐かしいおばあちゃんがなんかこんなの作ってくれた
Kitamura still makes funa sushi the authentic way. Freshwater carp is packed with cooked rice into wooden barrels, weighted with stones to create a vacuum, and left to ferment for the same spirit of innovation that would drive the country into the 21st century.
はい、行きます。3、2、1。頼もう
The Japanese have a certain obsession in their food culture. Like if you look at the proportion of Japanese TV, I would say food shows take up the spot where violent shows are in America. And it's just so much detail goes into making these shows, almost like food porno. 好きな人と一緒に来て食べさせてあげたいんですね。いただきます。いただきます。
Much of life in Japan seems to revolve around food. But amidst all the weird and the wonderful, nothing has captured people's hearts like the humble ramen. A bowl of noodles in a meat-based broth with a variety of toppings, ramen is Japan's comfort food and a canvas for innovation. It was based on la mian, the Chinese noodle dish brought over by immigrants in the 1800s. But ramen quickly became a uniquely Japanese phenomenon. Today, there are over 80,000 ramen restaurants in Japan with endless variations of this beloved dish.
I think there's a nice contradiction in the fact that so many foods have come to Japan and become Japanese. One of the ways in which Japanese foodways have survived is by taking on a lot of new foods. Constant innovation, constant use of that term, perfectionism, kodawari, that's what makes it Japanese.
Ramen is such an indispensable part of the local diet that one man found a way for people to eat it anytime, anywhere. The late inventor Momofuku Ando created what the country voted their #1 20th century invention: instant ramen.
安藤百福はですね、第二次世界大戦後まだ混乱していた時代ですね、ラーメンの屋台に 長い行列ができてたのを見たんですね。で安藤百福は、家庭でも簡単に食べられるラーメンがあればどんなに喜ばれるだろうと、そういうふうに感じたんですね。麺をすすりませんので、すすらない代わりに麺の長さが短くなってまして、スープ感覚でお召し上がりいただけると、そういう作りになっています。
The permutations of ramen seem limitless, and the Japanese have taken it further than ever. You don't even need to be on planet Earth to savor a bowl. Enter the gravity-defying space ramen. It was made to celebrate astronaut Soichi Noguchi's trip on the space shuttle Discovery.
宇宙空間では麺もスープも無重力で飛び散ってしまいますので、それを飛び散らないように麺は、形状を保持したまま、柔らかく戻る。それからスープはとろみがついてまして、フォークで簡単にパクッと麺もスープも一緒に食べていただける、そういう形になっております。
Ramen is the ultimate Japanese comfort food, and it attracts a fan base as diverse as its flavors.
Ramen is one of those foods that everybody can eat, from elites to worker, the student, children. There's so much that can be said in a bowl of ramen because it's everybody's food.
In fact, one man has come to Japan from the other side of the world to pursue his ramen dream. Immortalized in a Japanese comic strip is culinary superhero Ivan Orkin, the first American chef to open a ramen restaurant in Tokyo. Ivan was determined to make his name cooking his favorite dish, but he was up against some very daunting odds.
And it's very scary. I mean, you know, serving ramen to the most sophisticated ramen eaters in the world on their home turf was a really, you know, challenging thing to do. You know, I don't know how to make it, so I'd have to figure out how to do the whole thing from scratch. I sort of wanted that challenge. I had so much to prove. You know, I mean, this American guy having the audacity to open a ramen shop in the middle of Tokyo, everything said I would fail, really.
Ivan has an extensive background in Western cuisine. He trained at the Culinary Institute of America and worked with some revered chefs, including Andre Saltner and Bobby Flay. His Western training means he approaches ramen differently from Japanese chefs. He's even come up with oven-roasted tomatoes as a topping for his noodles.
The people who are helping me plan this place said, you know, you don't need an oven, it's stupid. And I said, you know, I will have an oven. That's just how I think. That's how I was trained. It's how my brain works. I'm adding my shio tare, which is my base flavoring, and some fat, because ramen doesn't taste good without it.
Although Ivan has an unconventional approach to ramen, he insists on one thing: making his ramen taste authentically Japanese. He knew early on that his biggest obstacle would be the public's preconception of an American in a Japanese kitchen.
That's the final dish. And that was my biggest fear, you know, that I wouldn't be taken seriously, especially because I'm an American. I was very sensitive to not serving anything that could be interpreted as an American ramen. I really didn't want, I knew that people would be scrutinizing me, and I knew that people would say, well, it's very good, but you know, it's not ramen.
After years of groundwork, Ivan chose this suburb of Tokyo for his first ramen restaurant and crossed his fingers. Ivan may not be Japanese, but he prepares his food with their trademark passion.
One of the reasons my shop is successful is because I really give a good dose of love into all my food. And I think that people who really like to cook put love in their food. And I think that's what differentiates all mediocre places and extraordinary places. All right, so we get the 46 seconds. I tried 47 and I tried 45, and 46 was the best.
Rush hour in Japan is the stuff of legend. Every day, 3 million people take the train into Tokyo. The average commuter spends over an hour crammed into the sardine cans of the Japanese railway. It's a grueling daily chore and a way of life in urban Japan. But there's one thing that makes train travel a little more bearable: the bento.
There's a wonderful tradition in relatively modern Japan, which is the eki bento, and that means station lunchbox. These are lunchboxes that are prepared at local stations and eaten as train food. There are wonderful train rides that people take expressly to get the bento at the stops where they are famous.
日本人にとっては駅弁と旅と思い出を離れられないような距離があるみたいですよね。
はい、今日は牛飯弁当を買いました。卵がついてるのが美味しそうだなと思って新幹線に乗るときにいつもどうしても駅弁が食べたくなるんですよね。なんでかわからないんですけど、でいつも選ぶのも楽しいので、はい、いつもなんか買って新幹線で食べてます。
The ekibento phenomenon is even captured in a comic strip about a man who travels the land sampling different train station bentos. Eating your way through the country has become a long-standing tradition.
これは大人の駅弁グランプリで、これですね。バランスも取れてて美味しいです。
However, bento is not just about a portable gourmet treat. It also has a deeper meaning. The aijo bento, or love bento, describes the bento made for a loved one, a child, a husband, or even a high school crush. Bentos can be an expression of love, the ultimate edible affection.
ピーマンがいいの？かぼちゃ？鮭こっちを。おにぎりが好きです。はい。おにぎりが一番好きです。子供ができてから添加物とか入ったもの結構外に出たら多いので、自分で作ったお弁当を持って一緒に行ったら食べやすいしいいので、はい。
The home-cooked bento is something very special in Japan. It's really about the epitomization of the mother in the child's life. And to make the best bento for her child, she wants to incorporate a lot of herself. So the bento is like the perfect microcosm of the mother's love.
Naho Matsui is a devoted bento-making mother. She raised her 5 children on a diet of homemade box lunches, and even now that they're teenagers, she still fulfills her motherly duties. With a full-time job, Matsui has barely half an hour each morning to prepare her family's bentos. That's up to 7 full meals every day. It's a skill she's fine-tuned over 2 decades in the kitchen, with the help of her mother.
今日は何人分作るか。5人。おにぎりいくつにしますか？
With their huge family, they go through a 30-kilogram bag of rice each month and buy groceries by the boxful. In spite of today's world of quick conveniences, there are no shortcuts in Matsui's kitchen. These bentos not only fill hungry stomachs, they also delight the senses.
開けた時にね、赤があって黄色があってね、卵の黄色と人参の赤と、それからお野菜の青と、それから煮物の茶色とか、開けた時にああ綺麗だなって食欲が増すようにみんな入れるわけ。
As with all Japanese food, it boils down to kodawari, the care and attention to detail in every meal, whether it's made by a chef or a housewife.
Kodawari is expressed in particular foodways in Japan. If you are making a bento, then you do want every section of the box, every frame, to contain the best possible things. Even the things that are hidden from view must be perfect.
Even in mass-market bentos, each item is packed in precisely the right way. From the industrial kitchen to the humble home, kodawari exists on every level.
Hai. ということでおしまいです。お弁当よ。はい。いってらっしゃい。
Thanks to kodawari, even something as commonplace as a takeaway lunch is a carrier of tradition. Made with care, devotion, and passion, the bento, the much-beloved edible expression of Japanese values. In Japan, foodies devote their lives to creating picture-perfect meals.
これは溶けない、ずーっと溶けないで入れます。
But there's one thing that sets this kitchen apart from the rest.
これ一応本物から型取ったみたいなんですけど、こういうのがいたんでしょうね。すごいですね。
The food here is made of plastic. Restaurants use them to entice customers, but they're also coveted collector's items. They make molds from the finest real ingredients, so the shape is completely realistic. Even if their food will never be eaten, these artisans refuse to stop short of perfection.
こちらのお肉なんですけれども、網目はすべて手作業で描いていきます。太い部分は筆で描きます。細い部分は竹串でやっていきます。
This passion for fake food also applies to the real deal. Japan is known to produce some of the finest real ingredients in the world, one of which is the famous Wagyu beef.
It is absolutely delicious. The taste of Wagyu to me speaks of Japan, partly because the marbling, the fat versus meat content is extremely subtly worked. The mingling of the fat and the flesh to the absolute perfect degree is just sublime. It's a real good example of this kodawari principle of perfectionism.
Wagyu, meaning our cow, refers to a highly prized bloodline of cattle bred in Japan. Genetically fine-tuned to produce the tastiest meat, these cows have become living icons of the Japanese countryside.
家族同様な扱いをしてたんですね。春になると牛が田んぼを起こしてくれるんですよ。秋になればまた米を運んだりとか、そういって必ず牛と人っていうものはどこのうちにもいたんですよ。
The close bond between farmer and cow is partly due to an old Buddhist law that banned the eating of animals in Japan until the 1800s, when it was lifted during the Meiji Restoration.
In Japan, there was a proscription against eating beef for a long time. So the fact that Wagyu now represents the best beef in the world is kind of ironic.
Even their drinking water is piped daily from fresh mountain springs. Every morning, Yamamura inspects his cows one by one, forming a connection with his herd.
There's something about the treatment of the cow that's said to be respectful. I suppose the old ban on killing animals for meat now might be sort of regulated through the good treatment of the cow before killing it for the meat.
なぜ手で刈るのか、どうしたらこの牛のいいところが良さを発揮させることができるか、すごく綺麗な線を見せることができるのか、それをこう噛み締めるように刈るということで、ご覧のようにすごく線が綺麗だと思うんですよ。
Not all the cows end up as steak dinner. Akifuji is a contest cow. Spared the slaughterhouse and handpicked to spend her life as a bovine beauty queen. Tomorrow, she'll be entering the annual Gifu Prefecture Wagyu contest.
はい、もちろん出るからには勝ちますよ。そりゃ絶対勝ってやるっていう思いで。はい、はい。
It's not just about looking good. She'll also be judged on her behavior. Yamamura gives Akifuji obedience training every day to make sure she'll listen to his commands.
ミスユニバースと一緒で背筋をスーッと伸ばして頭を上げてバー、こうやって5分間は立たせるんですよ。普通こんなして立っとらんのですわ。動きもあるんですよ。こうやってこれが静止性っつってバーバー。
The day Yamamura has been preparing for is finally here. Nearly 200 cows have gathered to compete in the Wagyu contest.
最後の舞台なので、精一杯最高の状態を見せてやるよと言い聞かせながら任せとけと。
This is not just about winning or losing. A Buddhist ritual pacifies the spirits of the cows that died for their farmers. Wagyu is more than just meat. It's a Japanese tradition built on dedication and compassion. Time for the contest to begin. A group of veteran judges examines each cow, inspecting the quality of its hair and skin, the proportion of its limbs, its musculature, and the texture of its flesh. They also award points for how well the cow listens to a handler.
17ヶ月で125センチ、17ヶ月で125個生えた。
一番大事なことはチャンピオンをいただくよりもこの飛騨牛が自分に夢を与えてくれた。
After much deliberation, the judges have reached their final decision. Yamamura's faith in his dream has paid off. Akifuji has been awarded her first gold medal.
餌をやるのにも時間をかけ、手入れをするのにもじっくり時間をかけ、牛と共に暮らして牛と共に仕事をしてっていうのが本来の和牛の姿。
Today's victory is just the beginning for Akifuji. If she continues to do well, she could go on to compete in the National Wagyu contest. There, she stands the chance of being crowned Japan's #1 cow.
本当幸せはこの牛と一緒に出れることは。いい牛ですよ。自分なりに目指せ頂点。チャンピオン。I'm a champion. #1.
Kyoto, Japan's ancient city, a window into the old country. It was the imperial capital for 1100 years, and even today remains the cultural heart of the nation.
No prescribed recipe for kaiseki. It's what the chef says, today I feel this is the day for making this kind of tofu, or making this fish appear on the plate in this way. It's attention to those details that makes kaiseki what it is.
In kaiseki, the finest seasonal ingredients are prepared in ways that bring out their purest natural flavors.
It has a spiritual quality to it. The spiritual essence of it, though, is not so much about something religious as about respect for the consumer and for the food itself.
Yoshihiro Murata, the third-generation chef-owner of Kikunoi, one of Kyoto's premier kaiseki restaurants. He's known as a pioneer whose cooking is at once innovative and authentic.
もうちょっと食べたいなって終わりやん。うちの料理はね、懐石って懐石やけども全部オリジナルなんや。だけども、いつも何もかも新しいことやってんねんけども、新しいように見えなくするの。
Kikunoi's menu gets refreshed every fortnight to keep up with the delicate changes in the seasons. With up to 14 courses in every meal, Murata invents as many as 360 new dishes a year. Murata often uses ingredients never before seen in kaiseki. His revolutionary approach stems from his days as a rebellious youth.
僕らはずっとこう後継ぎとして育てられるでしょ。それから大学のもう4回生になるとなんか親に対しての反発もあるし家に対しての反発もありますからね。でもっとなんか自分でできそうな気がして、それから食べることをするのが好きやったからフレンチのシェフになろうと思ってね。
In France, he met classmates who considered Japanese food malnutrition. Arguing to defend his country's cuisine, he learned to see his home turf in a new light.
何を言うてんねんと。外へ出てみて初めてわかる。それから日本人であるということも分かったし、その、日本文化の良さっていうのも分かった。
Murata's time away from Japan turned him into an evangelist for Japanese cuisine. He returned home with a mission to revolutionize traditional Japanese food and spread it to the rest of the world.
日本料理のが世界にとって理想的な食べ物であると僕は思ってるから食の世界で正義を行いたいと思うわけ。
Having somebody like Murata-san who is taking kaiseki and not changing its character, but just letting it naturally evolve is a valuable thing. It's good to be able to learn all the traditional techniques and yet also have just enough of some edginess that I won't be completely without ideas when I'm done.
Despite his progressiveness, Murata insists on staying true to one thing: seasonality.
ヨーロッパから行くと、村田のスペシャリティは何ってよく聞かれるけども、僕はシーズンって言ってるだけで。
In kaiseki, seasonality is the most important principle. It's vital to use the freshest local ingredients only at their prime.
自分のところでもこんな人参やからいけるで。そこらに売ってるやつもでかいんじゃ。
The importance of that first of the season food was extraordinary. If you wait for the first melon, if you wait for the first soybean, if you wait for it, then you've built up a lot of pleasure and anticipation.
Using ingredients only at their peak draws attention to the changing of the seasons and ultimately the transience of life.
で今日の食事は今日の食事でしかないわけで、その食べられること、そしてこの時間がここに持てたこと、すべからく感謝するということの凝縮やね。料理人が料理を、作るために、伝えたいことは、一緒よ。それから人間の、その素晴らしさ、自然の素晴らしさ、それらと共に共存している喜び。
Every detail of a Japanese meal is designed to celebrate life, passionately, gracefully, and perfectly. It's the prime example of kodawari, the heartfelt perfectionism that makes Japan so unique. Kodawari is found in the flawless ripples of a Zen stone garden, in the perfect placement of ingredients in a bento box. It's in a ramen chef cooking his noodles for exactly 46 seconds, and a mother lovingly packing her children's lunch. It isn't just about the freshest ingredients or perfect technique. It's the intention behind every act.
When I think about what's good in Japanese food, it's really a sense that there is a soul in the food, just as there is a soul in a tree, in a stone, and in a mountain.
Ultimately, what gives culinary Japan its distinct identity is the philosophy that created it, the tradition that runs through it, and the spirit that brings it to the table.